Weather conditions in Southern California are improving this morning, thank goodness. But officials say that people in the LA area are not out of the woods just yet. Most red flag warnings are expiring today as crews work to extinguish the major fires there. But hotspots do remain. Plus, another round of strong winds is expected next week.
There is a chance that the Santa Anas might spike up again next week. But I think that we have to, while we're still being vigilant, while we're still in this emergency, we also have to begin the process of recovery and rebuilding.
Southern California winds are finally slowing down, and that is helping firefighters working to contain LA County's deadly Palisades and Eaton wildfires. But it may be a short window of opportunity that they have, because there's another round of dangerous Santa Ana winds forecast for early next week that could start new fires, could reignite old ones as well. The California National Guard has been taking aerial views of the destruction, and here in the last 24 hours, the fires have not grown and are being contained. So that is the good news there. Right now, the Palisades fire is 22% contained. The Eaton fire is 55% contained. Evacuated homeowners are frustrated because officials today said it could be at least a week before they're able to return to their homes. But here's why officials say they really do need to wait.
They're shutting off the natural gas. They're cutting the electrical lines, so there's nothing that you can touch and get electrocuted if it was re-energized by accident. And we're removing the health danger by getting the household hazardous materials out. But for the ones who want to see their home that's been destroyed just for some personal closure, we still have to do those core, the core actions that I just described. The last thing we want as public safety and the county and city leadership, we don't want people going back to an area and getting injured.
CNN's Veronica Miracle is there in Altadena, which is where the Eaton fire has affected so many people. Tell us about conditions. Tell us what folks are saying there.
Yeah, Brianna, the conditions are not great, even though we're more than a week out from the fire. Here in the burn zone in the mandatory evacuation center, there are crews all over the place, and there are hazards all over the place. Of course, we have so much compassion for those who want to come back in, and we've seen a lot of people at the checkpoints who are just so frustrated and emotional because they want to get into this area. But we want to show you also what we have been seeing over the last couple of days firsthand, some of the dangers here. You know, they have been marking all of the buried gas lines. They're tending to all of those. There are nails all over the place. I mean, this is just here on the sidewalk because fencing comes down, the nails fall over. But when you're walking through those areas onto the property where all of the ash is, nails all over the place. And then you have situations like this here. This is like something we've seen on every block. Power poles that have been dismantled. They were either hanging and suspended and have now been taken down and are being tended to, but the hazard doesn't stop. And then just down the block, you can see there's some road closures right there. There are all of these burned and charred trees, and everywhere we go as we are in these in the mandatory evacuation zone, there are crews all over the place. Now, something that's really interesting as we've been driving around, we've also run into people that never left or somehow snuck back in, either while the fires were still burning or were somehow able to get inside. And what's been happening, they've been telling me, is that they've had to leave. So a man said one of his neighbors and their 14-year-old son were living, trying to stay here in the evacuation zone, and they just had to leave because it's just too difficult. So when people do come back in, they're trying to make sure that this area is safe for those residents, that there's power, and that they have something to come back to. Brianna?
Yeah, it is obviously very dangerous there. Veronica, thank you for that. Let's get more now on those red flag warnings with Derek Van Dam. Derek, cooler weather moving into Southern California over the weekend, but we're looking at next week. Tell us what you're expecting.
Yeah, brief reprieve now, but we get these updates from the U.S. Drought Monitor every Thursday morning at 8:30. We set our alarm clocks here in the CNN Weather Center. We have watched the progress of this map change drastically over Southern California. In December, there was no colors on this map. Just 2 weeks ago, there was only 0% of LA County under severe drought. Now, 1 week ago, it was at 59%. Now we zoom into LA County, 90% of this highly populated area of Southern California under severe drought. That's level 2 of 4. Wow, how have things changed over the past couple of weeks? We're running a 5-inch deficit in terms of the rainfall for this water year, which, by the way, begins in October. This normally would be the second wettest month of the year. Right now, we have relaxed the Santa Ana winds. That's good news. LA, the city of LA, out of the high fire danger. But of course, into the mountainous regions, we still have the strong gusts. But now we're going to see more of an onshore component. So what this does is it takes the moisture from the Pacific Ocean and helps increase the relative humidity value. This is critical for the firefighting efforts on the ground. Notice the browns being replaced with the shades of green. That's an increase in relative humidity. That's what we want. But the long-term outlook, not great. Dry weather remains the next 7 days. No precipitable water in this forecast. No real storms moving through. And unfortunately, the setup over the next early parts of next week looking very similar to what we experienced in the Santa Ana wind events of the past 2 weeks. So this Arctic blast of air settling in. Remember, air moves from high to low pressure. So that's going to funnel the air up and over the mountains of Southern California and cause at least the potential for Santa Ana winds Monday and Tuesday of next week. Brianna?
We are over hearing about Santa Ana winds.
Yes,
I will tell you that.
Agreed.
Derek Van Dam, thank you.
Lighter winds, cooler temperatures, and humid air. Firefighters in California are getting that much needed brief break from Mother Nature today as they fight to bring wildfires under control there. Most of the red flag warnings that were in force yesterday have expired in the LA area, at least for now. Now, next week, though, those strong Santa Ana winds are expected to return as the two largest wildfires, the Pacific Palisades and Eaton fires, are still far from being fully contained. Joining us now from Pacific Palisades and CNN's Stephanie Elam, who's been on the ground for us 4 days. I mean, Stephanie, bring us right up to date here in terms of the weather, but also the progress being made and hopefully from the air as well as trying to contain these fires.
Yeah, it's a huge part of that. Now that we have this wind event behind us, Paula, we are seeing that they're planning to go back to the northern edges of the Eaton fire, which is on the eastern side of Los Angeles, to attack it there. Same thing here with the Palisades fire. We just had a fire truck come through here from Portland, Oregon. And they're just going through, making sure that there's no fires, making sure that some of these bins that are bent over and knocked over like this, that there's nothing on fire in there, because one of the huge concerns here in Los Angeles County is the air quality. That's why I'm wearing the mask. They're telling us all to keep wearing them right now, because the particles from all of this toxic ash, and just think about all the things that are burning inside of a house, the plastic, the electric batteries from electric vehicles, all of that, the batteries in the electric vehicles, all of that is of concern because it could become unstable. But then you look at this house, how it's melted down, you see how destructed this entire area is, and then you look over here at this house, and it looks like nothing even really happened here. The bushes in front are a little singed, but there are lessons to be learned in here, and they're trying to make it easy for people to rebuild. But the news that people here aren't going to want to hear is that they're saying it's going to be at least another week before residents will be able to come back into these neighborhoods, and that is because of the fact that they're trying to deal with all of this debris. The Environmental Protection Agency is now coming in here with a $100 million budget to clean up some of this debris here, and at the same time, on the Eaton fire, they are almost done going lot by lot to make sure that there aren't any survivors, any victims that they haven't found out about yet, but they're saying there's some places where there might be some. And so because of that, it's going to take longer because they want to make sure that they find the remains of these people. So slowing down some of the progress there. They're almost done going through these areas, but still there's all of the power that they have to worry about, making sure that it's safe for people to come back to. And while we are in a drought here again in Los Angeles County, the other concern that they have are landslides. And so they're saying if we do get rain, which right now it's been a very dry January, very different meaning here, and it looks like February is will be off to a dry start as things look right now. They're saying that that could cause a problem if there are rains, because then you could have back in those hillsides mud coming down. And if mud comes down, obviously that'll add insult to injury right now. So they just want to be safe here before they allow people back into these areas.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, Stephanie. We've seen it in so many different places around the world that when you recover from a fire like this, you do have to worry about those landslides if you get too much rain all at once. Stephanie, deceptive, right? Bright blue skies, you have to wear your mask. We're glad you're wearing it, and we'll continue to check in with you. Appreciate it.